Hey, hi everybody. My name is Arun. I think so most of you have either seen me or heard my voice. I have been part of HL7 India from 2015 onwards. I've had the opportunity to work shoulder to shoulder with Kumar Satyam to grow the FHIR India community. So some of you may be aware of the story. We were 14 of us who met on 14th December a few years ago, and we are 1,700 plus, Satyam, as of today.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm really excited to start off this mid-month meeting where we can do it online so that people across the globe can connect um, and try to do some kind of working sessions. And as already previously mentioned, our next meetup is going to be on 26th of July in Pune, and we are also planning to be in NCR on 30th of August. So if anyone from NCR and if you are ready to host us, please do let us know. Yes, Joy, I will be coming to Pune. I have to be there in person. So hoping to meet you there. It will be a really long time. Uh, yeah, thanks everybody and happy learning.
Over to you, Venu. Thanks, Arun. Uh, let's get started with the recordings as well.
Yeah, okay. Am I audible enough clearly?
You need a mic. You have a hand mic or something like what we do in conferences?
No, I don't.
Collar mic or something? I'm kidding. I think you're fine.
I mean, I use this one for everything.
You're fine.
Okay.
Good enough. Venu.
Yeah, okay. My name is Venu. I've been in IT for 21 years now. I'm a part of FHIR India since 2016-17 time frame. So at that time, I mean, the community was more vibrant, as supposed to know. And I was actively exploring building apps using FHIR. I built up a PHR using FHIR. And at that time, I stumbled upon Smart on FHIR and how to implement that. Thanks to the FHIR community, I was able to figure out a few things. That's a brief about me. Right now, I'm doing consulting. I'm not employed anywhere. So that's a brief about me. Like Kumar Satyam had told, this may be an introductory session. When we initially started, we had a discussion and I proposed a few things, and Kumar wanted to do a demo. To do a demo, one needs to have an EHR. So I don't have a EHR. We will do a basic demo here. But if people want to come forward and do more advanced things later on, it's all up for you. So with that, let me share my screen. I have an agenda to walk you guys. I want this to be a more collaborative. It's not like a PowerPoint presentation. I don't have a PowerPoint right now. So I will, please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, your screen is visible. We are seeing a browser.
Right. Yeah. So
just one check, Venu.
Yeah.
I think folks who are not speaking, apart from Venu, I think we all can go on mute.
Yeah.
And feel free to turn off your cameras if you want to. Okay. And yeah, I think that's good enough. So go ahead.
You can be on mute, but I want this to be a little more interactive. So if you have a point or if you have a question or if you want to make answer something, please turn on your mic and you can go on mute after that. Right. So what is FHIR? Anyone wants to give a brief online description of FHIR? Chandra, you want to start, man?
So FHIR, like the online description will be, this is the REST-based like communication protocol for healthcare interoperability. those who are familiar with HL7, like this is like in my opinion, it's the fourth version. First version, HL7.1 and HL7 V2 was mainly delimiter based. V3 was SOAP based, and FHIR is REST based. And it mainly depends on identifying the resources. We define the resource, we fill up the resource and communicate with one system to another system.
Good. Yeah. Right. So like Chandra had mentioned, FHIR is a group of collection of REST resources. The benefit of having REST is that if you are query requesting for a patient information, you will get the patient information. What Chandra had not mentioned is it's also a semantic and a syntactic standard. So if you're using JSON or an XML, that is the syntax. And there is a specific sequence in which this information will be presented to you. That's the semantics of FHIR. So FHIR is a collection of REST resources. So that brings us to our next point. What is REST? So anyone other than Chandra wants to try, what is REST? What does it stand for? I mean, yeah, we all know the acronym of REST. It stands for representational state transfer. But what does it really mean? Satyam, I think you have to do some icebreakers.
I don't think so. The community is quite vocal and quite upfront. I think anyone, please feel free. I know Sajid is doing a lot on and take care of rest. Okay.
Hello. Hi,
Yes,
Session.
go ahead. Yeah.
Okay,
Who
so
is doing?
Bini this side, Dr. Bini this side.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm new to FHIR, but so I'm working as a business analyst, but never worked on any interoperability projects. Yes, but whatever I have read, I can tell. So REST is basically REST uses the HTTP protocol, and also it has a complete URL which does not need to add any other extension for that, so that it represents it for interoperability. And like other APIs have to add some other extensions for it to exchange data. I mean, this is what I know.
Yeah, nice try. You explained it to an extent. What REST really means is, I mean, it's a concept first initially introduced by Ray Fielding. But what it really means is that let's say you have a client. A client is anything like a browser or a mobile app or even a desktop app, and then you have a server. So the client server architecture, there may be one server, and there may be many clients connecting to that server, exchanging information in and out, right? So if I want to book an appointment, I'm first querying. If I want to request an appointment, then I'm placing an order for an appointment, right? So the traffic is two-way, right? So prior to REST, also this client server architecture existed. But what REST made things easier is that you just represent yourself. I don't need to maintain a dedicated connection with you. I can just serve your request and then close the connection. I can serve someone else's kind of request in the meantime while you come back. And when you come back, you again represent yourself. That's what it means. State is anything but the current state, like solid, liquid, gas states. There is a state of information, right? So you represent yourself and you exchange your information without having any prior knowledge. The not having any prior knowledge is called as stateless information, meaning I don't need to remember what you have told before, right? So that's the benefit of having REST. And how does this help in modern day interactions is that when you have a lot of online applications or when you want to do a lot of things online, you don't need to have a dedicated session. Having a dedicated session is too costly in terms of IT infrastructure, and it is not scalable. So with that in mind, stateless gave the opportunity to serve multiple requests at the same time, right? We still face infrastructure challenges, but that's a different discussion for another day. So that is being stateless, meaning I don't need to remember what you have done or requested before, but still be in a seamless conversation with you. But that brings another challenge, like I need to know who you are, right? Like, let's say, let's take a simple case of a bank account. Let's say that you have requested me to deduct money from your account. I cannot do that from someone else's account, right? First you have queried and then you have asked me to deduct. So when you queried, I showed your amount, but when you asked me to deduct, I cannot do that from someone else's, right? Even though I'm stateless. So I still need to identify you, who you are. Who you are, I mean, in the sense like what is your email ID or anything like that. I should be able to identify you for the online transaction unequivocally, like this is who you are, right? Can anyone tell me, like, what is the first digital identity? At least people of my generation can relate. What is the first digital identity that we all had?
Google account, Gmail ID.
Email ID.
Yeah, email ID password. It is still the most robust digital ID, I would say, right? So we had this email ID and then people were doing transactions. Some people actually had a username, password scenarios. So then what happened was a lot of clients came up and we started having all these applications. So I will have a lot of usernames, passwords, or email ID password combination for one client will not be same as for the other. Like someone said that you have to put a special character. Even in the special characters, there are limited set of special characters. So as things progressed, what happened was like people had this multiple online accounts, which they had to remember. They had to remember the ID password, because if I cannot identify you for the same reason, if I cannot identify you properly, then I cannot let you transact for the sake of all the security related issues, right? Then it became a real challenge. Then how would I even remember what my ID is? It's not that I want to do any illegal or illicit transactions, but I simply can't remember. So then you had all these forgot password mechanisms and all that. But then came an idea that can we not even have one ID that works across all these things, right? So that is the concept of open identity or open ID connect, which means like you can have one ID. It also enabled app developers, meaning I don't need to deal with identity. I don't need to actually decide who you are. Someone else can decide for you. They will let me know who you are. And then I can always point you into my transaction system. And then we can further transact. So I have delegated your identification process to somebody else. And there needs to be a mechanism which this needs to be done. And that is called OpenID Connect. I'm trying to introduce topics slowly, but if there is any lack of clarity, please let me know. Right. So then how does OpenID Connect work? How can OpenID Connect work? Can anyone give me, I mean, all of you are netizens, right? So anyone give me an example of an ID they use across multiple apps?
Login with Google.
Okay.
Login with GitHub. Normally all the developer stuff I log in with.
Right.
Basically anything that we log in using a third-party IDP.
Right. Third-party ID. So what is an IDP there, Sajid?
It's an identity provider that basically validates the one that is claiming to be the end user is one that is the true, basically using some kind of digital signature mechanism.
Yeah. So any idea how the IDP works? A little bit doubling down on the information.
In case, for example, Keycloak is an IDP vendor. So it issues, so you have a client that is registered with the IDP and the user makes a request to the client. The backend in that case returns back the Keycloak homepage where you enter your information that you have registered with the Keycloak. Basically, you log into Keycloak. Keycloak issues a token and that token is given back to the user. So basically, it's a three-leg dance that happens between the access resource server, the client and the identity provider.
Yeah, that's
so in that case, you directly don't give.
Yeah. Yeah, Sajid actually mentioned Keycloak, which I was planning to come back in the end. But Keycloak is one such identity provider or an OpenID Connect solution. You'll find that there is a website where you can go and find who are all the OpenID providers. I'll share that information after this meeting. There are a list of reference material that I will share. You'll find out that there are not that many OpenID implementers that are certified, right? But like Sajid had mentioned, so let's say that I am a hospital or simply a store that wants to use an OpenID. Let's say, let's take the case of Google in this case. Keycloak is something that I have to provision. Let's say that I have to use Google. I want to use Google and I am a small vendor. So I would register myself as a client with Google. And I would say that, look, I want to use your OpenID service. And so I need to specify some information. Google will give me a client ID and a client secret when I register. But I need to tell Google that, so the way it works is that when you have a sign in with Google, you may all have seen, sign in with Google, when you press on that button, it takes you to another screen where you actually sign in with Google. So you enter the password, user ID and passwords to Google, not to me. So I'm no longer maintaining your passwords. So if your password has been hacked, I'm not responsible, right? So Google will validate the user ID password and send it back to me, right? So this guy has been authenticated. Yeah, Google will give me a token, which is called an ID token. But then how will Google send back to me, right? So there is a redirect URL. Redirect meaning URL is like a simple link, website link. So I'll provide Google that, look, whenever somebody tries, I'm a client registered with you, but when someone tries to sign into my app, I will send them to you. You sign them in, you validate whether their password is right, if their password is expired, if their password is matching all that complex requirements that are needed. Once they are authenticated, send that back to me. And this is my URL. So you send it, normally that is a server side thing. You don't normally send it to, or actually you send it to your client as well. If it is a browser, you can get that back, right? So this redirect URL sends you an ID token. So you take that token and then you go in further process. Like the further process as per your workflow. If you're a store, you're selling something, then you let them pick things and you let them add items to the cart. If you are a PHR, you let them book appointments, you let them book lab tests, but that validation needs to happen, right? Now, in this case, actually, Google can decide whether they want to let you sign in with a phone number or whether they want to let you with an email ID. The first digital ID that we had is email, but nowadays you can even sign in with your phone number, right? So this process at a high level is called OpenID Connect. We will learn more things when we go further. But what has happened here really is auth-n. If you see my screen, I have it as auth-n, which is authentication, which is short for authentication. Meaning Google had signed up, Google had verified that this is a valid user, and they have sent them back to you, right? But so they have only validated who you are. Now, who will validate what you can do? Your identity always has two parts: who you are and what you can do. So that is authorization. Authorization is meaning like, can I let you do this thing or not? Now, how is it even important, right? Now, you guys are all healthcare experts, right? And healthcare, the data is very complex, and some of the roles are designated to view only certain things, right? Only a doctor can view the list of all the observations or the encounters that a patient has had before, not another patient. So if I'm a patient, I can view my information, but not somebody else's information. If I'm authorized, then yes, right? So there will be some rules that need to be maintained. And this is called authorization, right? And there is a specific mechanism in which this has to happen.
Recording चालू है, मुझे recording पण share होईल.
So, and that is what I come to with this background is Smart on FHIR. So Smart on FHIR actually is a specification. It is not a binding on you to implement Smart on FHIR. If you don't implement Smart on FHIR, that is fine. But Smart on FHIR actually is a specification that lets you know how do you actually do your authentication, how do you do your authorization. And there are certain things the specification has mentioned that needs to be done in a specific way. Is it clear so far?
Yes.
Can I get more yes? Or you can actually type in the chat.
Yeah, actually, I had a question for the IDP Connect. Is that the host needs to request the IDP, host needs to contract with the IDP provider, or the client needs to contract with the IDP provider?
It's normally the client. You can also have the host. Host, I mean, you are referring to server.
The server. Host, I mean the server, one who is providing me the portal, let's say Amazon portal. So Amazon has to contract with IDP, right? Like Google, and not the user, right? Is that right?
Not end user, but even the client. So because I can have one server and in a client server based architecture, and I can have a client app. So let's say I have one server, I have a patient portal, I have a practitioner portal, and I have some radiology lab portal and all those things. So each one of them is a client, right?
Right, sure.
So all these clients need to be registered with the
Google
IDP. Yeah, with the
Oh.
IDP. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Any further questions? That's a good one.
How Smart on FHIR is different from the current OpenID provider? Like in my previous project, I was using Ping, and basically we were using for authorization, and we were write policies for individual roles.
Yeah.
So can we do that here as well?
Yeah, Smart on FHIR is not an invention of its own. It just follows OAuth 2.0 at a broad level. The only or specification you can say here is the way we specify our scopes. Let me actually jump you a little bit. This is Smart on FHIR version 1, if you are seeing my screen. So who are you? Are you a patient? Are you a user? What is the resource that you are trying to access? And what is the operation that you are trying to do? Read right. And all of these, so there is a thing called scope in OAuth 2.0, and these will be the scopes. If you are actually, this is for Smart on FHIR version 1.0. If you are doing 2.0, because so we're jumping the gun a little bit further here, but for now, just take this as 1.0 and this is 2.0. In 2.0, what we have said is instead of using the same create, read, update, we can just use CRUDS, right? It's just how you interpret the things. So the reason why we did that was to limit not we, but FHIR did that was to limit the token size because tokens cannot grow infinitely, right? And this is how the authorization is maintained.
Okay.
Does that answer?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between?
Any other questions?
Can you hear me?
Okay. So now I'm sharing my screen and I'm showing you an app launch. Sorry, was there a question? So I'm showing app launch on my screen here. So Smart on FHIR at broad level specifies two ways in which you can launch your apps. You could be a standalone app, even a portal can access EHR, or you can be simply a mobile app trying to connect into another EMR like Epic or Cerner, right? In that case, you're just a standalone third-party system trying to access information from another vendor, right? So app launch is one mechanism where you are just a standalone, or you are a backend service. Like in the second sequence where I explained, you can actually query information from another vendor like an Epic, right? So your mobile app will connect to Epic and request information from Epic and show it to you in the way it should be, right? And then it's all done in a secure manner. So that's the backend service, right? In app launch and all of these, before we actually go further down into app launch or backend service, briefly, I want you to take you to OAuth 2.0. If my screen is too small, you cannot read it, let me know. But what this basically says is this implementation guide is a set of foundational patterns on OAuth 2.0. And OAuth 2.0 is an IETF, which is an Internet Engineering Task Force. Every time they make specifications. OAuth 2.0 actually came sometime in 2010, I think, 2010 or 2011. 2012 is the copyright. At that time, mobile phones were not there, or the smartphones were not there. I correct myself. So they had to make an amendment to make use of the smartphones. We'll see what that is. I won't actually take you through this entire IETF specification now, but there is something called as grant. So we already briefly looked at a client registration. So that is fine. So you provide an endpoint and then they send these things back to you, right? There is something called as authorization grant. And this is the core. I mean, this along with the custom scopes mostly is the core of Smart on FHIR. If things are getting a little quirky at this time, please pause and ask me questions. Otherwise, and if I'm going too fast, let me know. If I'm going too slow, let me know that also, right? We want to
Am I audible?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so I have a confusion like regarding the difference between user and a patient. Patient who has already registered in the patient portal and user who is not. Is this so?
It is not. This is how you define your specification. A user can be anybody.
Okay.
A user can look at a list of patients if they are authorized. That's what Smart on FHIR says. And you'll see that in practice. Okay, yeah. So you'll see that in practice, just hold that thought for now, right? So authorization grant, what does it mean? I don't want to read through this, or I don't want to take you to that thing. I will share this information and you can read this on your own. Initially, there was client credentials flow, which I'm highlighting here. This was the only flow, or the resource owner password flow, because initially everything was intranet. Internet was not such a fancy idea. So you have a set of you have a network and all computers were connected to a specific thing. In that case, you can make the resource owner password or even an implicit grant flow. Implicit grant is now taken down. Client credentials came into existence, or it was very popular. Let's say that you are trying to do, and since this is OAuth 2.0, let's say that you are trying to do a sentiment analysis using Twitter APIs, right? You can register yourself as a client. You would get a client ID and a client secret. So every API, and Twitter exposes a few APIs. So every API call you make to Twitter, the first one is to get an access token. The access token says a few things like, who are you? How much time is this valid for, the token? It's that simple. But the information that you supply there is your client ID and client secret, which was granted to you at the time of registration with Twitter. So similar is the case, like let's say you want to register with EHR, like Epic or Cerner. They would ask you what type of a client are you? If it is just a backend, because if you're trying to connect to Epic, you're most likely a backend. That is, you have something, and from there you want to connect it to Epic, right? So you are a backend. In that case, Epic will give you a client ID and a client secret. Or let's say you are a .NET or a Java-based thing with some UI. Even in that case, you can have a client ID and a client secret, right? Let's say you are a modern day JavaScript application as a client. It can be React, Angular, Vue, Next, anything, or a mobile app for that sense, an iOS or Android app. These apps cannot secure a client secret. The reason is very simple. I can go detail. because the redirect URL that you provide there is not HTTPS. It's something else. In some cases, it is my app. So these protocols could be broken and that client secret could be hacked. For that reason, if you are a single page app or a mobile app, the expectation is that you follow the authorization code flow, right? So meaning this is all like you're trying to connect to an external system, get information from them. Which grant mechanism will you follow? Will you follow a resource owner password where everything is contained inside? Then it's a different case. Will you follow a client credentials flow, or will you follow an authorization code flow? FHIR also has some specifications. We'll come to that in a little bit of time. Authorization code flow itself, the way I'm touching at a high level because we don't have enough time. Authorization code flow at a high level, the way it works is that because these mobile apps or the React apps cannot secure a client secret, so I cannot pass a client ID and a secret same in the thing. I will only pass a client ID and I will get a code back to my redirect URL. Then I'll use the code and I will send the same code to the authorization server. Then I will get a access token. So this is a mechanism where I don't have to pass a secret, but I can still validate, authenticate myself and get an access token, right? There is another modern version of this, which is called PKCE, also pronounced as PIXE, which is, I don't think there's a PIXE mentioned here. Yeah, there's no mention of PIXE here. But PIXE, proof of key for code exchange, what it means is that from your client, so there is a challenge. So challenge and verifier challenge. So these are all cryptographic information. You send information, you request a challenge, you get a challenge, you answer that challenge, and then you get the access code. So instead of just sending a code, which can also be, and these codes are very short-lived, like less than a minute or so, or maybe a minute at the max. But even that can be stolen. So to stop that from being stolen, we use a PKCE flow, PIXE flow, which actually happens to and fro. Now, all this is a little bit of cryptography involved. But at a high level, what I want you to take is that client credentials flow is used when there are purely backend systems interacting with each other. And authorization code flow is used when there is a public client, like a mobile app or a React app or an Angular app. Any questions here?
If you could just shed some light on the JWT author as well, right? So how it is different, because most of the EHRs, right, they follow JWT. So how it is different?
I'll come to that. Please hold that thought.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, all good questions. So this is the JWT. I have a small demonstration to show this towards the end. So that's why I want you to hold this thought, right? So and it follows an asymmetric JWT. Any questions other than this? Any questions on the grant mechanisms?
Not on the grant. I have a question. Can you just scroll down? So I find there it's symmetric and asymmetric. So
Yeah.
why do we call? Okay, it is client secret, not mutual TLS. Okay, got it. Sorry, I thought that's mutual MTLS. Okay, fine.
Yeah. So how does this actually happen, right? I have a small diagram. It may not be visible. Let me know if it is not visible. So you may be a smart app with some nice UI. So I have a smart app. I first do a login. I have just simplified a few things here. Normally, the way it happens is that you have an identity provider and everything is done inside of that. So you first authenticate yourself. Once you're authenticated, you get an ID token, which actually has your information like name, email address, age, in some cases, if the identity provider specifies that. So that's why you actually get a window when you actually try to do with single sign-on. This app can read this and please click. So if you want to actually stop them from looking at your address or gender or age or anything like that, you have an opportunity there, right? So those are actually some scopes or a scope we have recently, we have briefly discussed. Even OpenID actually specifies a certain scopes. OpenID profile, offline access, online access, right? Email. So these are the OpenID scopes, and they come from the identity token. Once the identity is issued, the request is further sent to the authorization server, and it's the authorization server because your identity is two parts: who you are and what you can do. Now, Google cannot decide for you what they can do, what a user can do in your app. It is your responsibility to make sure what a user can do. You can delegate the authentication part to an identity provider, but authorization is your responsibility. So in your authorization server, you will specify, you will probably group the users into some certain groups: pharmacists, doctors, a lab, or patients, or anything like that. And you associate scopes to the group, right? So authorization server. So here, if you see point one, you log in, you get an ID token, then you attach scopes, and then you give it back to the app. Now the app is actually trying to fetch allergies for somebody, right? Then the request goes to the FHIR server. Now here you see something called as an introspection endpoint. What is introspection? And this is a standard OAuth 2 specification. Introspection means that because things are separated out, authorization server is at somewhere else, client is at somewhere else, and the resource server, which is the FHIR server, is at some other place. If so, there can be a situation the client can fake a token, because tokens are universal in format. By that I mean the issuer of the issuer is normally the authorization server, is not going to change every time, right? So if you have a scope token once, you can actually try to fake a token and send it to the FHIR server. And the FHIR server will, of course, decode the token and says that, okay, this person has all these scopes and it seems like this is a valid token, right? Let me proceed with what they have requested. In this case, fetch allergies, right? And because they are universal in format and they can be stolen, it is the responsibility of the server before proceeding to further fulfill the request to do an introspection. Introspection is just the English word to look that is this really a valid token, right? So for that scenario, it goes back to the authorization server, and the authorization server also provides an introspection endpoint. So or a token endpoint. It simply calls the authorization server and asks that, look, I got this token. Can you validate this for me? Did you issue this token? Is it a valid? The FHIR server doesn't care anything else other than that. So authorization server actually does all that validation and sends back that, yes, I have issued this token. Then the FHIR server proceeds in this case, and then the FHIR server will validate the scopes. The authorization server has given you the scopes. So I am a user, I am a valid user, but do I have the right authority to fetch a patient's allergies? This is the question, the classic patient user question. So if I'm a doctor, I may have a user scope. This is just a specification. If you want to make it more granular and make that user into a practitioner, you're free to do that. Then if I have a user scope, and if the patient is in the list of my patients, this is a validation that needs to be done at the FHIR server. Then the FHIR server sees that, okay, I have a valid scope for this patient, and I can just simply fetch the allergies of this patient and send it back to the client. Right? This is how a typical flow will look at a high level. Points to be taken from here is that authentication will give you an ID token. Authorization will attach the scopes and give you an access token. After that, the FHIR server does an introspection and also do a validation of the FHIR scopes.
So what we can see here is the ID and token is not being given to the patient. Right? ID and token is being sent to the authorization server. Authorization server is sending the access token to the end
Uh,
user.
Yeah, so I've simplified things. You can also see the ID token.
Okay.
So normally what happens is that you have a service which actually takes the sign-in requests. And there you have specified my IDP is Google or my IDP is GitHub, or it can be your own Keycloak service. So you go there, you get the token, then you go to the authorization server and you send both of them.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question. Anything on the scopes side?
So
So I
what
have
I have understood regarding scopes, like for it is like a permission or the constraint or the limitation to a group or to a group of person, right? Like in case of doctors, he or she can write a prescription, whereas a nurse cannot.
Right. That's exactly a classic case. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Or if you think that nurse should write, because I am not a doctor, I don't know who is allowed to write a prescription. So it's upon you. It seems in some cases transcriptionists should not see some information. So you limit them in that case.
Okay. So that would be a view only.
View or it depends. If you should not even allow them to look at it, then you won't. Yeah.
Okay.
But the example you specified is valid. So if a person is not qualified to do a certain thing, limit them by the scope.
Okay.
So this is an API level security. Scope works like an API level security.
Got it. Thank you.
And you can say, like you also mentioned, you can also make this as a role-based access control.
Role-based.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, you're saying something.
No. I said I got it.
Okay. Now there is another thing called attribute-based access control that I think some servers have implemented it and some have not. But doing an attribute-based access control in something like healthcare will be massive. If you are a very specific domain, even that you may have a lot of things. So then you need to specify at field level what you can do. Something similar to this.
So in FHIR, I mean, is there a provision for attribute-based access control, or it's an overkill?
I think Chandra is a better person to answer this. Some are doing it, I think. Something like Boston Children, they're doing attribute-based access control.
Can you give an example of an attribute access control?
So let's say that there is a pediatric practice and there is some very specific observation, which only a certain neonatologist should look at it.
Okay, got it.
So it's certainly not an overkill, Sajid, because if the scenario demands that, then you need to support it. Yeah, and in OAuth 2, the only way you can do is through the scopes. So
the scopes as a kind of a policy information point in this context.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you say what this PIXI is one more time, please?
Yeah, PIXI, it's just a technical acronym for proof of key for code exchange. So just like how you have, so let's say when you type HTTPS and connect to something, right? How do you get it? They actually, so they take the public key and they validate the public key, and then say the SSL handshake happens. That's when you exchange information. All of this is not, so you just look at this thing here on your browser and then go further, right? But all of that has happened for you already. PIXI is also a similar mechanism. You throw a challenge and then the challenge is answered. Then you get access to it.
Okay, I have an Ashok here. So can we say that this overall auth in and auth that is only at the request level, not at the content level, right? So whether to allow or not to allow, yeah? But let's say if there is any FHIR request which has got a bundle with like maybe multiple resources, maybe some user are not authorized to view some of the, like the secured or confidential data in the content. So, but however, for the smart, it is not at the content level, rather what request they are asking and whether they are authorized or not. So it's only at request level. Is that right?
This is an excellent point, but let me answer that in a different way.
Yeah, sure.
Let's say you have requested a bundle, and a bundle can have so many things, right? It can have an observation, it can have a condition, it can have medication, it can have an encounter, right? Now, let's say that you have scopes for everything else, but not for medication, right? Then in that case, it is for the FHIR server to decide how you do it. So I would prefer that you block the medication information and send the remaining else, but also send an operation outcome in a FHIR terminology that, look, you have not been provided access to this because you lack the scope. Or if you decide that I will block out everything, then just send a 401 authorization. No authorization.
Okay, makes sense. So is this like FHIR recommend to have this as like one of the proposed solution, or like maybe like this is the most used?
This is just my recommendation, but I think
okay, fair, makes sense.
I
Yeah.
think everyone will do the same. Will you actually stop access to the bundle itself, or will you only stop? In most of the cases, you can just supply the reference information.
Okay, makes sense.
Because
Thanks.
all of the FHIR resources are linked.
I have actually, this is a very interesting topic. I have pasted a URL on chat for as an example of the scenario what just being asked. So this is a very, this is a main challenge. There was a group which has been formed in US to address this kind of challenge where to give access to the whole bundle or like give access to the individual items. So the working group is now working on this under supervision of multiple hospitals. So it's there is no direct implementation or anything available yet, because to be able to do that, we need to change on the HR side, and also both the client and server. From the application side, there are a lot of changes need to be done. Currently, the way we address this is we try to, the resources are mainly designed in a way so that you have access to that whole resource itself, or that whole model or itself. If you have multiple data models inside and you don't have access to some of them, we normally tend to call that request or don't give you access because you might have access to unwanted things as well. So the next framework, which is coming in the Shift Interop project, there we are trying to define a use case or an approach for role-based access, or the attribute-based access. But that's a very vast topic. I think this is out of scope.
Yeah, at least for this session.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, this is Kailas. So like,
can you be a bit louder?
Yeah, sorry. So like tagging each resource in the FHIR server like belongs to which category, read or write, that is yet not defined by any framework, not defined by HL server. That is also defined, but that is completely on the implement, how they want to implement.
Can you repeat your question? I think the question is, does HL7 specify what you can do on a specific resource?
Yes. So how you will tag the resources to evaluate your scope, right? Okay. I think similar to what Chandra's recently explained. So is it that any framework provided by HL7, how you tag?
So we are going to an interesting topic called scopes, which we are already discussing. Please raise your question if this doesn't answer. Right. I think the question, if I understood correctly, is how does FHIR specify that what actions can I do on a specific resource, right? So this is what I'm showing you right now is Smart 1.0. So Smart also has evolved. So you can say this is called ABNF. This is a specific notation. Who are you and what you can do? So this read, write, create, update, delete, or asterisk means everything. You can do whatever you want. So this is a specification which this is a notation which says like what you can do on a specific resource. If we go to Smart on FHIR 2.0, which I'm showing now, it actually says it expands. So this is synonymous to your CRUD operations that you do, along with S is for FHIR search, because FHIR search is a very complex thing. So if you are having a FHIR search, so perhaps you can search for things. So this is how Smart on FHIR uses the custom scopes of the OAuth 2 protocol and specifies what you can do. Is this what you're asking?
Yeah, I think it's more from like client what we can do. And then server definitely use the scope to identify the respective resources, right? In this case, let's say if someone is performing search operation, then whether the read is also there, right? Like so and so if someone performing a search on a patient and I'm allowed to do the search because the S criteria is there. And then it also need to be in combination of the read.
Right. So it uses the custom scopes. So here I actually have highlighted a few scopes. This is a dummy token. Here, if you
Can you go to the previous page once?
Okay. Yeah.
This one, yes. So CRUD operation, right? So C is for create. So can I compare it with the create means post method with the REST API?
Yes.
Okay. So R would be for the read operation. That means get.
You can do read with post also nowadays, but the ideal way is to do get. Yeah.
And U is for update. That would be for put.
Put, yeah.
And D is for delete.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And as you have said that for searching the resource.
So search is you can do a post request. Okay.
Okay.
A post request, but then there is a certain way you do FHIR search, right? So if you're using FHIR search, so you request a post and then do the search. So I was showing a few scopes here. If you see here, I can do anything on the patient, but not delete. Even delete nowadays is a soft delete, meaning I'm not deleting the information, but I cannot do delete here. I cannot update or delete in case of observations.
Yes, also I have heard that there should not be any delete operation in case of healthcare because it is a sensitive data.
Yeah, I mean, it again depends on how you want to handle deletes. Normally, what you do is you do a soft delete, mark a version number, and then put it into some history table.
Okay.
Yeah, but we don't delete, yeah, for all other reasons.
I have one question around scope. Sorry. In the CRUD operation, we already covered that U is usually for update. But in case of some specific PM systems, FHIR servers, I have also seen patch requests being part of it, and they also have a put. So is that covered under that? And if that is the case, how would scope look like for a patch?
The scopes are not directly in relation with the HTTP verbs that you use. So you may actually send a patch request, but as long so then how do you handle patch request is a system level thing, not a FHIR level thing, right? Yeah. But if FHIR scope has, so if you have an update scope, if you have a U in your scope, it doesn't matter whether it's a post or, I mean, you don't do a post with a get, right? That is not allowed. I mean, so your get method will go to a different routine in your controller, right? But how you handle, so that's all system level. How you handle patch versus post put. Nowadays, people just send post for everything.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. And then there are complex scenarios. Let's say you are taking an appointment and then you want the appointment to be cancelled. That is still a post request. Okay. Or you want to update. There are so many other things. Or this doctor is not available. You want to send it to another doctor. Those things are possible. Sorry, any other question?
What about no show? Like I have requested for an appointment and it got scheduled, but I didn't appear for the appointment. No show. So in that case,
you will be penalized and put behind bars. That's all system level. So how you want to handle no shows? I mean, in this case, there is no revenue loss, right? It's good. The patient paid the money, and if you paid upfront, so it's how you handle your business logic.
Okay.
Yeah. So any other questions on scopes? Like I've shown a dummy token here. Offline access means that offline access again is an OpenID scope, which actually says that even if the user has logged off and they are coming back, and if the token has not expired, you can issue a refresh token and continue, so that you don't have to keep logging in again and again. You want to make the user experience seamless and easy, right?
So when question here. So if I read this scope, it says that it is requested by a patient. Is that correct, or would be not a fair assumption?
The first patient, the patient on the before the oblique is by patient, yeah.
By patient. So it is requested by a patient, and the system and the request has been for these four resources, right? Or is it a grant? Is it a grant by the system?
This is a grant, yeah. This is a grant. It says that the patient can do all these operations on these resources.
So request can be anything. Means the request can be anything, but the grant is only this much. Okay.
It can be on an encounter also. So if you don't have encounter, we'll see that in the demo a little bit.
Okay. Just two more. And OpenID is like, it says like the authentication method is OpenID. What does it mean?
OpenID itself gives you some information like name, email. So if you have those things, you can get that information.
Okay. And the profile is profile, offline access you explained. Fine. Yeah. Thank you.
So anything else? We have briefly touched on the grant mechanisms, and we have also looked at scopes. Next, I actually want to move to demo if there are not many questions. And for demo was a challenge. I tried to do my best. I will put a thing in the chat. So please clone this repo. This is actually the smart sandbox, which I removed a few things which I don't want. The sandbox was also having R2 and R3, and that was taking a lot of time. Please clone this repo on your local, have your Docker running, and then we will proceed further. And this actually implements, if you actually go to the Smart Dev box, this has been archived by Josh Mandel because this anyway is following Smart V1. The scopes have now changed. But for our demo, it's good enough for our basic demo. Please clone this. Maybe just give a thumbs up once we see at least 10, 15 thumbs ups, we can proceed further.
Is going on.
Yeah. So you should have installed Docker as well as per the instructions. Open the Docker.
For loading, it is taking time. Only 28% got done.
Yeah, it will take time. See if your connection is okay, or you can switch connections.
Yeah, all is okay.
Because loading the Docker will take even more time. That's the case. You can try this as after the fact as well. I will leave this information after this call. But it would be nice if we do follow along. So I have already done it. I have stood up the Docker. So all you need to do is either from a terminal or from an IDE of your choice. IDEs are now very hot space. So take any IDE of your choice and do a, I'll also write a small command here. So this is all Josh Mandel's work. So it was done long back. Now it has been discontinued. Do a Docker compose up -d. The D flag is to read from the config. From the ENV. You can look at the README instructions in the file as well. But what you now need to do is start localhost 4000 once the Dockers are up. Let me know if I'm going too fast. If you are on an Apple Mac like me, so Apple Mac is ARM64 and sorry, just 1 second. Apple 64 is Apple is ARM64, so you will have one Docker failing, so one service failing, which is the patient browser, because that is AMD 64. It doesn't work well with the Intel Mac. So that's okay. We don't need the patient browser for this demo. We just need the rest.
It did pull though on my MacBook. Patient.
Yeah, it will pull. It will fail. Because it fails while when you do a Docker compose up, it will fail. It will give you a message that this is AMD and another AMD image is running fine. So this is a little gray area nowadays. So once you have it, you have cloned the repo, you have downloaded it, you've done the Docker compose app. If you do a localhost 4000, you should see what I am seeing.
Okay.
We'll take maybe 10 minutes time to make this work.
Yeah, I'm able to launch the smart app.
Yeah, let's okay. You did the launch smart app. Good. So if you briefly look at the Docker, you have this FHIR viewer launcher. The launcher is the one we'll be working with, although we'll go from the home page.
Hi, Bino. This is Aman. Just a question. Like my compose is going on already. It's almost like 90%. But in case of this localhost port 4000, do I need to use my local port or I can directly use localhost 4000 itself?
Your Docker should be up first.
Yeah, Docker is already up.
No, but you said 90%. It should be complete.
Yeah, it's done. I can see all of them are running now.
Okay. Now you can fire up your browser and do a localhost 4000.
Okay.
It's just easy. So if you actually click on this smart app, it will take you to 4013. So just go to the home page and do a launch a smart app.
Okay.
So I'll walk through some scenarios. I won't actually go through each and everything. And this is a very basic app. Few things are not working the way I expected, which I will come to it. But this is a decent enough thing. So now let's let me know once you guys let's wait till 12:45. Kumar, is it okay if we go over by 10-15 minutes?
I think till 1:10 is fine.
Okay.
A quick question. How did you reach this page? I missed that part.
Okay. So you go here and click on launch smart app. Okay, let me actually close everything. Let me not have one of these. Okay. You click on launch a smart app, you'll see this page.
Yep.
And so let's wait for 5 minutes before we.
Cool.
So you can try this yourself. This is not a rocket science. But what you should do is just try provider and do a test sample app. If you want to do any launch is an interesting scope which we have not discussed, which we will see in action. So you can try all of these. You can just launch the sample app.
So I can see the launcher smart app. That page has come. Localhost 4000.
Yeah.
Now I have to go to launcher smart app, that option, right?
Yeah, just click on that.
Okay, I've done it then.
Then you will see something like this.
Provider EHL launch R4 version.
Yeah. So let's wait for, you can try this yourself. So click on this, just leave everything open and then click on this test with sample app.
Is it the way like in which we are and physician is I mean basically they are launching the application from within another portal and passing the authenticated information from the parent to the child portal?
Right. Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah. You'll see how it happens. So the way I would do is open a new browser because I want to see what is happening. Keep the inspect open. Let's wait. Can we get a few more thumbs ups if you are done? Unexpected end of file while running Docker Compose. Okay. Okay. Looks like few people except one are facing issues. We'll come back, but let's, in the interest of time, let's look what happens now. So what I have done is I've come here. I've taken the provider launch. I've copied the link instead of clicking this, but I want to see everything that is happening. So I just copied this link, opened up a new browser window, and I pasted the link here. If I briefly look at this link, what is happening is that it says there should be a launch.html, and it's launching local host and doing a FHIR launch, right? I'm on the network tab. I'm inspecting my page and I'm on the network tab. I'm about to hit enter, right? So I see a few things. First thing is it actually pinged the metadata for the FHIR server, and then it came up to a practitioner thing. So if you see the request, it is saying practitioner and then summary. So this is how actually the launch sequence works. You don't need to do anything except other than login. Let me pull this up a little bit. So if I do a login here, so this is also a FHIR spec that says like if you are doing a launch scope, then actually show the things that, so this is a practitioner. So I have, the user is a practitioner. I launched a practitioner. So I will select one patient. I will select one patient, and after this is when the login happens. Yeah, so I got a token and point. Okay. And I also have got a few things here. Let me close my inspect window now. I don't need this anymore. So once I have done, what has happened is I've got an access token. Let's actually not believe anything. Take this access token. Take this access token, decode it ourselves. What you can do is use some utility. I use jwt.io. This is by auth0. Just go to jwt.io, remove everything that is there, and try to decode it. So here, with all the information that I have, I am interested in looking at the scopes here. There are other things which is specific to this server. But if I see the scopes in specific, I see a few. I see a patient. So I can, so what this means, what this asterisk mean, it's a very small scope, but a very big impact. You can do anything on any patient resource. So that's what this means. Expires in 3600 means like it's 1 hour. But that's what has happened. So if I come back here, now because I had the launch scope in the token, I'm able to launch the encounter. I'm able to see the patient information. I'm able to see the user information, both. Let's do a little change of this here. Let's try to change the scopes. So, okay, I think I cannot do it like this. Is it clear so far? Silence is gold, or localhost refused to connect. Okay.
So Manu, this is Hemant. So while you have URL in your local host, I'm using an IP address to launch the Smart on FHIR app and even the Smart app page. While clicking on launch test sample app, I got the header and the sidebar, but in between the frame is there. The frame is talking about the localhost. How can I change the localhost to IP address so that the central frame can be loaded?
Is the central frame spinning, or I didn't get what?
It's looking like this only. Localhost, the error which I have thrown here in chat.
Yeah, so there is some issue in the way the app is launching. We need to do a debug of that.
Okay. So yeah. It seems like that somewhere in the configuration localhost is hard-coded.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
everything is
create,
hard-coded. Yeah. If there is any other, so let's say, so this thing is launching on 4013. So if you are running anything on 4013, then there will be an issue.
No, even my simulated HR loaded on 4013, but apart from localhost, I have the IP address. Since I'm loading, I'm installed on some other SSH server rather than localhost.
Yeah, other SSH server, it may not work. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Even my Docker installed there, even I clone your Git there itself on that server.
Yeah. Let's do this. In the interest of time, I will walk through and whoever is able to do, we will do. If not, like Satyam has told, we'll have multiple sessions. We'll need some time to debug as well. And this is not a very graphically enticing UI, right? This is just to actually drive home the point. Now let's actually do a provider standalone launch because it works a little different. Let's leave everything the way it is. And so earlier I was doing a provider EHR launch. Now I want to do a provider standalone launch, right? Now this is where, this is why I want you to try this. So initially it asks you for some scopes. Don't do anything, just hit run. And you will see the same. You can actually see, keep your inspect window open and see on the network tab what is happening. But you will see the exact same flow, right? Now you'll see everything. So just to see how these scopes work in real life, right? So let's actually take out a user scope. So now I've taken out the user scope. I close this window so that everyone can see proper. I've removed so what I have done a standalone provider launch, right? And I am taking out the user scope and now running it again to see what happens. So it again does the login. It again asks me to pick a patient. I did that. But because I have not given it the user scope, it has restricted me from looking at the user information. So this is how it works in real time. Now let's keep the launch scopes as is, right? But let's remove the patient scope as well, right? Because it says patient all resources. That's what the scope is, right? Now let's run it again and see what happens. Earlier, I have only taken out the user and it says like I cannot see the user, right? But now let us run this and see what happens. I will again pick a patient. And so I cannot see anything. Although I have the launch scope here, I can do a launch encounter or launch patient, but I don't have access to patient itself, right? Meaning I don't have access to any of the resources. So I can just look at my token, all the OpenID scopes, FHIR user refresh token. But apart from this, I cannot look at anything else, right? Now let's do another way. Let's actually take out launch patient or launch encounter and launch patient only. So now I have kept all the scopes, but I have removed launch encounter. Now let's run it again. Now I cannot look at the encounter. So this is how you actually control authorization using Smart on FHIR. This is very basic. It can get very complex. So this is all I have done is using provider. Now I will do a patient launch, right? Let's take this patient 16652. I'll go back and do a patient portal launch. Again, do test with sample app. So here I need to enter the patient ID. Yeah. So now I'm, because I've logged in and I'm a user, right? So I can look at my information, although it says, now I was not presented with another screen where it said like, you have access to all these patients, which one do you want to launch, right? Today, I don't have that. So all I can do is, because I am a patient, I'm not a user, all I can do is just look at my own information. I can look at my patient's details. I can look at my user, which is also the patient. I can look at my encounter information if it does exist. Similarly, if you want to have medication, allergies, family history, you just have to provide a launch scope. So launch does that, like at launch, what all do you want to see? Any questions here? After this, I just want to show you the smart backend service. Yeah, Sonia has got it. We can actually try a few more things. Instead of doing a patient portal launch, I can do a patient standalone launch, right? And try the same thing here also. If you're doing a standalone launch, you get an option to control the access. Now, let's say I don't want to launch my encounters. So now I'm not seeing my encounters in this list because I have not specified the launch encounter. So launch itself is an interesting scope so that it gives you the context. You are looking at the patient, but you want to pull information from some other system inside your EHR. You can say that launch this thing, and it will pull all that related information and show it to you. Right? So far, so good. There is a lot of silence here.
What is going on? Okay.
Okay. Let's now try the smart backend service. For the smart backend service, I will put one more link. I am sorry because this is how the DevBox was done. So I had to do it the same way. And there were a few issues. So I was trying to fix these things. So backend service is like you're not launching inside or you're not doing a standalone. This is some third-party thing. And there was a question related to this. We will actually see that. So I'm pasting you another GitHub. You need Node.js for this. Unfortunately, I could not put this on a Docker. If you have Node, it is fine. Just take Node. If it is running, just clone this repo and clone this repo and let me know. So we will do a very basic thing here, but we will understand how the backend service works. I will give you 5 minutes. So if you have cloned and if you have Node installed, if you have not installed Node, there are instructions in the README file on how to install Node and all that. If you are new to Node, you may find a little bit challenging, but it's a basic app. It doesn't do much. Then just do an npmi and wait there. Don't start the service. We need to do some more things here. Just clone it, do all the npm installations and wait.
I have done the cloning for that node one, smart backend service.
Yeah.
But I do not have node. So readme, just can you scroll up a little? The readme is written over there.
Yeah. The readme has
Sudo apt get update.
Yeah, I mean,
Mine is Ubuntu.
Yeah, so you need to do this. Or you can just go to nodejs.org and download Node from there. Anything will work. Or you can just watch me do. This is a very simple thing, mainly to understand the concept. So earlier there was also a simple question about the asymmetric JWT. We'll see that here. Permission denied. It's a public repo. If you are able to clone the earlier one, okay. No, you are actually cloning the sample apps STU3, not the one that I've given you. I mean, it actually, so you clicked on the on the link on README, and I think you're going there, sample apps. You can just clone this repo which I've given you in the link. Yeah. Okay, 2 more minutes and then we will look at this. Okay, so now let's do this. Let's go. I'm sharing my screen and I'm on the app launch sequence. So smart defines two. So private key authenticate a client using an asymmetric key pair. This is for public clients, right? So, or even a private client. So that no secret is being passed. So if you go to that same smart app launcher you had been before, go to backend services. What you can do is generate keys. Generate keys, you'll see here, generate keys. The app that is there will run on 3000. So go here and put the service URL as 3000. So this is like a third-party app trying to connect into this EHR and get information out of this, right? So once you generated the key information, This is okay. This is not confidential or anything. Okay. And this is just for demonstration purpose. You can key in the service URL like I've done localhost 3000. That's where it will run. And then you can do a download as JSON. When you download this as a JSON, this will create you a config.json file. And go to your downloads folder. Open your smart backend services in an IDE of your choice. Copy all that information here. Okay. Now let me do the same. I will show it to you. Yeah. Replace. Because this is, so what is happening here is that you have generated a public key, private key information. Private key is to be with you, which is the smart backend service. You only need the public key for to be connecting to the backend service. So either you can copy the public key here or generate both the keys. I have done a generate key. You can view the private key also. So the way it happens is that when you send a signature, there is a small routine here. Let me close this and go here. There is a small routine that does signing. So this is what actually Smart says, like you should do a JWT sign with your key information, with your private. So this private key is nothing but the key that is copied from the config. So there is a signature. Along with it, you also had the client ID. And once you have that, if you try to run this app, running this app is a simple instruction. That note. Okay. I need to first go into this. So it gives me that there are 629 patients on the server. So what has actually happened, and this will keep running for 50 times if you don't exit. You can simply exit. That's how this has been coded. So what has happened here is that I have connected from here to the smart application that I have here. So there is another application. I have shared my key material here. I have shared my public key. And with my private key, I have signed a request. This has also given me a client ID. And I have signed my request. I have given the request to this server. And my request there was, if you see that, get the number of patients, get the count of number of patients. So here you can see, get me the count. And it said there are 629 patients on the server. So this is a simple, a very basic demonstration of a backend service. So backend service doesn't really have a UI. From your server, you are connecting to another FHIR server and getting information. For that, you need to sign your request with your private key. Then the receiving server will decode it with your public key, see that you have the right scopes, and give you the information that you're requesting. Was there a question? Yeah, this recording will be available. I think it is being recorded, right?
Session is being recorded. We'll try to host it on YouTube.
Yeah. So any questions so far? Yeah.
And Venu, let's maybe plan for a second session. So 1:10, let's wrap up.
Yeah. Yeah, we can maybe quickly answer any questions for the next 5 minutes.
So one question. So like all this complete smart on flow is, I think, current available FHIR server is providing it, right? Like, do we need to do out of the FHIR server, or what's your thought?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes, so I'm saying all this smart on FHIR capability is coming with the current FHIR server, like whatever market FHIR server available, or do we have to do this exercise outside the FHIR servers, or what do you thought?
Yeah, this is FHIR server is a resource server. Smart on FHIR is mostly the authorization piece. So you need to implement that authorization piece, and also like all the JWT signings and all that you should implement inside your FHIR server.
And that will be extra from the FHIR server.
That will be extra. So if you are using FHIR Java, there is a specific mechanism. You do interceptors, I think. So you need to do.
Thanks.
So a good idea would be to create a discussion on Zulip, our internal Zulip, right? And maybe folks can join there, and we can continue the discussion. And if there is enough interest, enough topics, we can have another session. So,
Yeah,
would you mind creating a topic and sharing with the folks here?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Right after that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I missed that portion. After downloading the JSON, I have downloaded the JSON. Then what I supposed to do in the Visual Studio?
Yeah, so there is a folder called config.json inside of the Spark package.
Yes.
You just replace that with this file.
Okay, the content of the file, right?
Yeah, you can just copy paste the file. It will just work. And then just do a node dot. Dot is like node index.json. So just do a node dot, and it will run the file, and it will fetch you the number of patients on the server.
Okay.
Venu, I have done the installation of Node.js, but when I do Node dot in VS Code, it says that module not found.
Did you do an npmi as per the README?
npmi.
So first you need to do an npmi. So this will install all the dependencies. This is, most of these languages are similar. In Python, you have requirements.txt. Here you will have package. So you need to install all those packages.
Okay.
Not node I, npmi. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so like Satyam has told, please work this out. If you face any issues, we'll continue on Zulip. I'll create a discussion thread. Satyam, you want to take over?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Venu. Thanks for taking time, taking effort, and I think we have a decent amount of folks who are interested. So when we started, we had around 77. So till now we have 55. So that's a good interest, right? So very good. Let's continue this technical sessions, and if there is interest, and if Zulip tells us that we want to do something specific, let's do it, right?
Sure.
Ultimately, we have to be hands-on, right? We need to know how to build as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
certainly. Thank you for the opportunity.
yeah, thanks, Venu. Thanks a lot. With this, And thanks, Arun, for hosting this. Thank you. And with this, we move to the next session. And the next session, Bodhi, if you are around, I can see Ajay. Ajay, if you can turn on your camera. And Bodhi, if you can turn on your camera. Or you say where you are, I cannot see you. Yeah, I can see you now. Hi. And Ajay, if you are listening to me, I'm not sure. But anyways, Bodhi, welcome. This is our mid uh, small meetup that we had, or the event that we had around Smart on FHIR, and we thought like we'll use some of its time to introduce OHC and what kind of work you guys are doing, and what specific is the interest in FHIR, and how this community can collaborate, right? So that's the intent of it. So with this, I'll hand it over to you for a brief introduction of yours, what your uh, organization is doing, and how do you want to see the FHIR collaboration. Over to you.
Thanks. Let me share this screen.
Yeah, please, you can. Do you not have the permissions?
No, I've sent a request.
Arun, or I can do it, right? I can do it. So it's PODH. Rename, allow, remove chat. I don't have it. Arun, if you can make Bodhi. Hey, you are the co-host. You can do it, Bodhi.
I made him the host.
Yeah.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just clear it. Hey everyone, I'm Bodhi. Bodhish, commonly known as Bodhi in the community. I've been working on open source for like last 10 years. Fundamentally, back in 2020, when the pandemic hit, we created a project called as Corona Safe. We were trying to run war rooms for the state government in Kerala to manage the capacity in the state. So the systems used to log patient data from around all hospitals, private and public, to figure out what is the capacity across the state, and specifically plot it for districts, figure out what is the availability of beds, and also like predict the oxygen usage and capacity. So it started off 5 years ago. Then quite a lot of adoption happened in the first 2 years. Multiple states adopted it and started using, and that's when the founding CTO of Aadhaar, Srikanth Nadamuni, found us, and he was doing something called as 10-bed ICU, a project to create 10-bed ICUs across places where there is no ICU beds. That includes a lot of districts where there was not even like one ICU bed. So now 10-bed ICU scaled to 200 districts in the country, and thus supporting around 2,000 ICU beds. So they adopted the tooling for their hospital workflow management, because these were the first ICUs getting created. There was no digital tooling in there to like manage. So what we built on, we kept on extensively building on top of it to like support critical care workflows, EMR support and stuff like that. And we've been supported by multiple agencies. Like we run a education program with the Ministry of Education to like bring in volunteers and engineers who are working in college to work with us. Satya Nadella talked about the event, when talked about OHC and what we're doing in the last AI tour. We work with OpenAI to build specific healthcare use cases. We also contributed to the healthcare benchmark that got released. We've few AI integrations with voice, vision, and agents for supporting different workflows that we have. And I'll just jump to my slides. So uh, this was happening for the last 5 years, and we were like quite happy with what was happening. But then what we realized was like we were going very, every disease or like every new thing that we figure out, we need to like go back and like re-engineer the architecture, like back into like support the new fields, new use cases. We knew about fire, but never like really ventured into it to like figure out what was happening. But when last year we decided that we wanted to like extend the support. So what we built as a tool can be deployed by a state to manage different types of organization like facilities. Can be a primary health center, critical care facility, or like even run programs like palliative care. To extend the support, we wanted to like reimagine how the EMR data is saved, how the data structure should be, and that's when we figured out FHIR R5 is like a good model to adopt. Uh, the main problem that we saw in the digital health landscape in India was like low field adoption. So basically, every tool that is out there, it's either an ERP converted to a for healthcare use case or like custom built, which is very hard to use, not mobile friendly. You need to like if you want to like start deploying something, you need to buy a lot of hardware. Doesn't work on mobile phones. Super limited to a hospital. Also, most of it is single tenant. There is no way a state can deploy one software in a cloud server and distribute it to like all hospitals or like all programs. We wanted to like reimagine the workflows, and we took a lot of time to like rethink the entire approach, and that's how we came up with something called as CARE 3.0. So the idea is what we had, the platform was called as CARE. So it's a digital public good recognized by the United Nations for the last, for the last 4 years. So an open source FHIR powered AI ready and extensible server and allied resources. That's what we tried to build. And open source, I mean, it's fundamentally for healthcare management, like can be for hospital management, can be for palliative care management, critical care management, tele-ICU management, like different settings, you'll be able to like run the same code base with plugins. We looked into all the standards and tried to incorporate everything that is like it out there for running the tool. So we based out of R5, if FHIR R5, we allow all clinical terminologies to be added through Snowstorm. So we support Snowstorm. We are also building a terminology server for low resource settings, like the hospitals that we have. Like they don't have the money to like run a $16,000, like 16,000 to like run a just a Snowstorm cluster for a month. So building a terminology server as a side project, but yeah, we support logging, UCUM. You can also bring your own terminologies into the system. So hospitals can choose what they want to like run and pick and choose. Technically, it's a modular architecture, modern front end and back end. It's API first by design, and also supports plugins. So we've been in health space for like 5 years. So we had a lot of vendors who do a lot of different things that powers deployments for us. So we wanted to have support for a private and plugin architecture. So uh, vendors can choose how do they want to like deploy it. We rewrote the entire code base to be GenAI friendly. So now a Claude or a cursor can be able to like write code. And it's cloud native and agnostic, supports all different vendors. India, we're deployed in Azure, AWS, and GCP for different states right now. All Terraform automated should be like in AWS, you'll be able to like go live in like 15 minutes, including all domain configuration and setup. It's mobile first by design and MCP ready. So in the core, we have picked resources from FHIR to like fully support it. We support the administration, definition, clinical, scheduling, pharmacy, labs, and billing. So this is like a curated list that we picked out from the whole, so that we're able to like support different use cases. So in the administration module, we support everything from the patient to permissions, roles, departments, facilities, organizations, and all. With definitions, we bring in the code systems, specimen definitions, activity definition, plant definition, service request management, and stuff like that. With clinical, all the main clinical resources are in, and similar with scheduling, pharmacy and labs. So this is what we call the core. With the core, we are now able to like plug a different ecosystem. So the tools that we have built previously that was in the system, we extracted it out as plugins. So with the core, you can now enable a camera streaming for a tele-ICU. You can bring in ABDM as a plugin. You can bring Scribe for automatic voice filling, or you can have a WhatsApp bot sending notification as a plugin. So we created a core with an ecosystem layer where you'll be able to like bring in multiple different kinds of plugins, both open source or vendor driven or product driven, into the system, and customize your deployment for specific use case. With the core and plugins model, we are now powering tele-ICU, hospital, HMIS, palliative care clinics, uh, Janwar for animals, veterinary clinics, and primary health. So All of these are like in different stages of execution, but one single code base with plugins, now you are able to like power different solutions. And just deep driving into the HMIS part, because that's where it shows most of the features. Kind of like you'll be able to log in patient, outpatient, healthcare management, home health, all part of the encounter system. You'll be able to like capture everything clinical and also get it plotted in the system. Every information in health profile, like conditions, medication request, allergies, all captured that can be visualized in the UI. We also support scheduling for different organizations. So hospitals can publish their schedule that can be like booked by different vendors or like people. Patients can also look into their system and then use it. So these are like really helpful for governments to like publish their availability of PHCs and CHCs, also manage palliative care and stuff like that. We fully backed on the FHIR organization structure to like build out the administrative hierarchy. Like if you look at India in the government structure, it is very complicated. Like even the LST structure goes from like a district to a Jilla Panchayat to a block Panchayat to Grama Panchayat to what. There is also like a corporate structure, I mean, like a municipality structure, a corporation structure. This also changes with every state. There is like 6 different verticals that we have figured out in just in LST mapping. So with the organizations and the parent architecture there, we are now able to like support addition of role specific to government. So you can have a district DMO manage the entire facilities in a district. And by the way, it's a multi-tenant instance, like all facilities can be like added into one system. So DMO, state level DMO, like all of that can happen. We completely use the FHIR questionnaire workflow to like customize these questions. So one addition that we have built in here is that based on the forms, we are now able to emit questionnaires. That's like one automation that we built. So you'll be able to like capture structured questions and unstructured questions together. So for example, you'll be able to like capture a condition in the form itself. Also, based on the inputs, if you have the codes out there, you'll be able to like fire the observation. There are other fields to like capture observation, like where was this collected, like body site, collected performer, collect time. So we brought in those into the FHIR questionnaire schema as like an extension, so that we are now able to like with one workflow, the nurses just have to like submit one form, the required observations and the structured data gets created out of it. We do referral management for hospitals, upshifting, downshifting, immunization management, like capture the vaccination schedules and stuff like that. Risk assessment management. This is in FHIR module. Uh, Also, workflow support for LMIS. So you can create a service request based on an activity definition that gets created and assigned to the specific location there where this is getting done. On that location, the people with access can create specimens from the specimen definition, add processing data, create multiple reports for a service request. The same can be used for radiology and other stuff. So basically, activity definition to an SR workflow fully created. And then we also built in the pharmacy and inventory module. This is also powered by FHIR, medicine administration, medicine dispense, and medicine request. All of that got created with all the knowledge is required for it. Accounting and billing. So for we build the billing module, accounting, we are integrating with Odoo as a platform. So everything that gets created for billing just get passed on to Odoo for accounting. Also brought in a consent management module because we needed to like store and manage the consent for different kinds of use cases. Also support patient login. The first version is out where basically they'll be able to log in and manage their schedule. We also support showing their health records that are saved on the system. Customizable report, so you'll be able to customize what they need to like see what should be the discharge summary look like, all customizable for facility. And added a Excalibur draw integration so that they'll be able to like draw on top of the system, like mark stuff and like save it as clinical images so that this gets added into the patient's files. So what fundamentally helped us drive this is the dashboarding that we were able to do because everything is an organization in the structure. So this is a dashboard, live dashboard from the Kerala government's palliative care uh, program. So just deployed like 2 months ago. They've dealt with around 1,61,000 patients and 3.5 lakhs encounters. So from there, you'll be able to like dig deeper into like a district, say what is happening in Ernakulam, all of this changes. You can go into like a Jilla Panchayat and figure out what is the stats there, like Blok Panchayat, and then even go into a Grama Panchayat and to a ward. So all of those dashboards are customizable in a way like you can like do easily. So we use Metabase to do this, but like since it's a FHIR data, we are able to like easily work with it. So care apps or plugins, that's what supercharges our core. So what I showed you till now is our core modules. With everything in the core module can be like changed or replaced or added with new features with the apps. So three examples that I want to show here is like one is TeleICU for remote monitoring. So you'll be able to like add in any open source camera, I mean any camera with an open source spec into the system. So you'll be able to connect it with as a device in the system, and you'll be able to like stream it fully. We also support logging the positions of each of these devices, and you'll be able to zoom, pan, and tilt. So this is deployed in like two, I mean, 2,000 beds in across the country where a medical college is like providing support to the nearby hospitals for the 10-bed ICUs. And ABDM integration is also another plugin. So everything that is required to create a patient, manage the records, like emit the data, all of this is a plugin. So for our plugins, we have a front end and a backend layer. So if you just want to like add something to the backend, you can have a backend plugin. Both if you need to like create two plugins. And Scribe is another tool that is being used for the last 2 years. So you just speak to the system, we are able to like fill the form for you. So we use generative AI models to like transcribe the data and structure it based on the questionnaire that we have. So this has been in the I mean, in production for like 2 years now. Around 90% of the times it's emitting like the correct data. Other times people they just need to like make like slight changes to like get the data saved. So we don't save it for the patients, nurses. They just speak to the system and the data get auto-populated for them. They'll be able to like update it and like save. We deployed in around in 10 states across the country. Kerala for palliative care and every other place for 10-bed ICUs for tele-ICU management. So just for tele-ICU, we are in 206 hospitals across 9 states. All of this powering district hospitals or a taluka hospital for critical care management. And Kerala, we're doing completely for palliative care. So every PHC in the system is registered. So if I go back here, so there's around 1,367 hospitals registered just in Kerala that are delivering palliative care at home. So every data that we get captured from the home gets logged into the system uh, and processed. We are fully powered by a community of open source engineers. So community by meaning 1,040 people have actually contributed to the tool in the last 5 years. Just in 2025, we have resolved around 1,261 issues. There was around 1,473 open source pull requests that was created into the projects that we run. This is the idea. We have a very small team of 14 people distributed remotely in India running it. And if you look at it, like why care? Like we just have 4 points. Like it's super easy to roll out. Like a state can deploy it in like 6 weeks and get moving. Because zero infrastructure requirement. Everything runs under for the Kerala government. The entire infrastructure runs under $1,000, and it's only like the even with the entire like data getting created, the infrastructure usage is around 20%. It's frontline fast by design. Fundamentally, we work with the people in the field to like identify what they want as a UX and UI layer, and we work reverse to like structure it into a way it is like easy for them to use. And yeah, open infrastructure. So you own the code, you own the deployment, and you own the data. We are not in any of it. We just help you get a copy deployed, and we keep maintaining the core. Every state can decide what extensions or like what customization they want to do and like use it. Yeah, that is the uh, short story of like what we try to do right now. And what we want from the FHIR community is that we we were not able to like find a lot of adoption in India, like, and also that also brings us to a point where like we don't see a lot of data for the definition. So where do we like find observation definitions for the Indian context? Where do we find activity definitions like as in FHIR spec that we can pull into for these people to like customize and use, or like where do we find the questionnaires for different sort of verticals that are published? So the metadata that is required for anyone to use open source tooling is like kind of limited, and it exists, but I don't see anything in public, and which is very hard for any of our users to like start using it. Like, so how do we figure that out? Also for FHIR for Indian context, like for example, the records, like if you look at condition, in a FHIR it is a when it's a condition. Like in India, it is taught as like you need to identify symptoms and then you need to do the diagnosis. It's kept as separate, two different things. So every option in symptom, like the value set for symptoms and diagnosis are the same. So for the doctors, we find it very hard to like explain to them why it is same and like why you should like have it as a condition than two different things. But like, so we also created an extension just to like now support like a symptom and a diagnosis as two different things so that people doesn't like have problems with it. But like, how how does the Indian FHIR community look at India specific core for FHIR? So yeah, that is the two different asks that we want to do. And also we want to like contribute back into the ecosystem, like anything that we're able to like help with or like build for the and that ecosystem, we'd be like super happy. We have fundamentally engineers from different parts of the country uh, who are like into healthcare. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Bodhi. This is quite amazing work that you guys are doing. A little bit about the FHIR India community, and you're right. We are not you would not be seeing a lot that's happening for India from the community, and the reason for that is we don't have the market. There's mostly private sector driven, like or the enthusiasts that are coming together to solve for interoperability, and majority of these guys or us are working international markets, right? So this is a community that comes together to learn, share, build things that are for our use, right? So in India, ABDM was one of the things that came in, which was closer to adopting FHIR. But as you know, it's not exactly FHIR, but it's like FHIR documents they are doing, and very small piece of FHIR that ABDM has adopted, right? So apart from that, I don't think in India there is much adoption of FHIR. So I think we would be excited to definitely look at what you guys are doing and help and support in whatever ways we can as a community to ensure that you get the right support on FHIR, and also we also learn like or how you guys are doing. Correct. The thing is like we the good thing is like you have started FHIR R5. I think majority of the industry is in R4, right? And R5 is a major significant upgrade over R4, right? But as you see, the commercial and other guys, they are still stuck in R4 or even before. So that's a good choice. I was surprised that you were able to model a lot of things on FHIR, because I think the organization and other things are quite complicated. The level that you explained, right? The state, the taluk, the region, all these things. I think the modeling of that is quite complex. But glad that you guys have done it. So definitely we'll take a look at it, and I think this community will definitely be there to support. So before we go to the specifics, I think I'll let members from the community to speak up your views, what do you think about it, and any comments or questions you have. So Chandra, Venu, Gaurav, whoever I can see, if you have any comments. Yeah.
It's very well done. I'm very happy to see the initiative, and I was just taking it into the you guys have. So kudos from my side. Thanks a lot for doing this, and let us know if there is any like any option to contribute, we will try our best. And one thing, the R5, I can say, like from my observation around like European community and US community, what we are seeing, everybody is focusing on R6. They are trying to keep R5. Maybe while the further verifications, if you can just take a peek into the newly released R6, like so that has solved many of the shortcomings what was already there in R5, sorry, R4 and R4B, A or B. So R6 is the answer. Many of the like European countries, they are skipping R5 completely to choose R6. All the like practical problems what the state and national level projects are facing, those things are being addressed in R6. So this gets a heads up.
Yeah, we also figured that out. Like, I mean, for a lot of like different edge cases where we hit in R5, that's actually resolved in R6. Like, even fetching data like from the terminology server with like expand, that is not there in like the previous spec. That only comes at the latest one. So, but the ecosystem is not like, if you look at the snowstorm, it's stuck at R4. They have not moved. So that's the pain we are also on into, like trying to figure out how do we like move these pieces also into the latest ecosystem, I mean, latest spec.
And another thing is like for that questionnaire, this is a really good approach you guys have taken. I'm not sure whether you are aware of this project LSC forms from US like ONC and others. So that also might give you guys some pointers if you are stuck somewhere or something like that. You can see these guys. It's a little bit old project, but there are a lot of good job done for mapping all the US related like questionnaires and challenges, especially on the questionnaire response, how to use it and how to have a more generic framework like that mainly developed based on DS2.3, but they better implementation and also pathway mapping from their LSC. These are the two things I just let you guys know. But really,
wanted to like adopt the calculation. We have a scoring calculation mechanism for like based on for running a Glasgow coma scale. You need to like based on answers you need to bring in like a calculation element. So we explored the code base. So we wanted to like adopt something for calculation. We now have conditional support. Based on conditions, you'll be able to like render different questions. But we also wanted to bring in the support for calculating based on the answers. Yeah.
Yeah, Bodhi, my name is Venu. I have a fundamental question for you. Like I've been blown by what you have shown. So where in India do you find support for installing something like this? Is it all governmental? Is it in only Kerala?
No, it's all governments. It's every state is actually using this. I mean, in 10 states that I showed on the like Karnataka, Kerala, in Northeast, most of the states. So all of them are like moving into open source. I mean, they're like quite open to explore this. And also, I mean, if you look at NRCS, there is like regulation that states you need to like use all of this for healthcare.
Yes, is fine. All that is fine. So, because the reason I ask you is, if you talk to a few private hospitals and ask them to install SNOMED CT or implement SNOMED CT, you will face a lot of pushbacks. So now you're talking R5 and Chandra suggested you to do R6, which is all wonderful, but there are some basic issues related to making this happen. It's not the technology challenges anymore.
Yeah.
Like I think even Satyam has opened up initially that we're not finding enough roadmap to implement anything like this.
So yeah, we totally face it. Like for example, like in SNOMED, if you look at the medicines list, it doesn't have vitamins. That is something like that gets prescribed in India. So there are challenges that we are facing in adoption. But what we offer is like a UX that is very easy for them to use. That just drives a lot of this adoption. And people are like, I mean, if they can use it on their phone, get it like in few clicks, move ahead. They're like happy. Like underneath it is R5 or like SNOMED. Most of them doesn't even understand that. So that is there like there is like a FHIR literacy gap there, or like healthcare technology literacy gap is there in the system. But we were like very clear, we don't want to like go, because we dealt with this market, like the customization requirement. I mean, when you like run in like 9 different states, you can imagine the number of requests that comes for customization specific for each of them. We had to like collate everything and try to figure out a mutual solution. That's when FHIR was like a lifesaver for us, because everything you can possibly imagine is out there. You just need to like build the best UX out of it. So we are also like proud to say that we are also an opinionated FHIR implementation. That means we have taken choices where we feel it is like easier for the people in India to use. So yes, there is a problem, but there is a lot of change that is being driven by WHO right now. So I mean, they are also pushing for adoption. NRC is also like, since the standards are out there, it was easier for us to tell them that okay, this is the government guideline. You should like look at it and then start using it.
Right. And on the terminology, maybe you should do FHIR terminology service rather than doing, FHIR terminology inside internally implements Snowstorm, Link, and all those things. But you get a lot of canonical URLs when you do that.
Understood.
Ajay, go ahead,
Hey,
please.
thanks. No, I just wanted to respond to Venu's point, and I think Bodhi has responded, but also just a little bit of context on how we see the ecosystem in India. To an extent, the problem is not so much SNOMED or the terminologies as much as digital health adoption, to begin with. And in that sense, sometimes it is easier to work with the public system because the public system, for better or worse, does push changes top down. But what helps with when it comes to OHC is really the edge it has on usability. And there's a lot more that can be done on usability. And Bodhi, I think at some point, even the voice stuff you should demo. Because India is not where the US is. US went through multiple stages of tech adoption, meaningful use, and all of that happened in the US, and there was significant government pressure. And government is a large payer, so payers drove a lot of the adoption in the US. In India, most of the market is out of pocket. So you don't have powerful payers to drive that adoption in the private sector, but it will happen. There is a bunch of work that is also happening, at the IRDAI and the Finance Ministry now. So we'll hopefully see more adoption.
Thank you. Anyone else has any comments or any questions for OHC? Okay.
Sorry, just a quick question to Bodhi. You showcase the dashboards, right? Would it be possible to know where the data and how it comes?
Yep.
As in the source.
Yeah. So what happens is like whatever we capture VWDB from there, there is like ETL layer that can like convert us for analytic purpose, and Metabase is used for doing that databases. Like basically we use the data, like normalize the FHIR data into ways that they'll be able to like easily query it from the system. So
All this data is from our own, as in the FHIR resources implemented. That's the totality of the source.
Yeah.
Okay. No other open reporting from the government. Okay.
No. So this is a dashboard published by the government itself. So the deployment instance, everything like is owned by them, and that is their public dashboard. They also have internal dashboards for like data analytics.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, are these like separate instances, or it's multi-tenant, one hosted instance?
So in India, like healthcare is a state affair. So every state needs to have like different instances. So every state has independent instances. Within a state, all government players are in one instance, but there are other private players like using it for palliative care itself. Then there is for hospital adoption. There is clinics running it. There is foster homes for cats using it, since FHIR can also like support all animal records, so they are also happy. In India, if you look at it, like for it's a same medicine that is given to humans that are used to treat animals also in most cases. So yeah.
So like at state levels, you have different instances, but within the state, they are like managing multi-tenancy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you have private sector guys as well.
Yeah, they have like different their own instances running for their own use cases. When tele-ICU is like one example, like you'll be able to like remotely manage different ICUs. One example in Ernakulam is like there is like a group of doctors, like it's a community like around 10 intensivists who supports 5 different hospitals. So they have an instance where they place cameras in the different hospitals and they stream it and remotely monitor these patients. They offer it as a service for them. So that's one. So there is like I mean, equivalent example is 10 bed ICUs that is doing across the state, where a medical college do virtual rounds every day for like 5 different district hospitals nearby. For example, in Madikeri, there is the medical college in the capital that supports 5 different rural hospitals. So this is their record. In Karnataka, there is 4 different hubs. We call it a hub and spoke model. So hubs power different spokes.
Thanks. So, just one last question from my side, and then I'll ask like the specific, like what is your expectation from the group? What exactly are you looking at? So before that, so before building on this EMR, right, open source EMR, did you look at the other open source things that were available, right? So one was like from our ThoughtWorks itself, or what the Ministry of that what is it called, Bamini, right? Bamini or so. Yeah, there is one Bamini. Then there are few other open source EMRs as well, right? So, like, we wanted to understand, like, how did you go about getting on to saying that we will do it from scratch? Was it just the UX, or was it more than that?
It was more than that. Like when we started off, I mean, we never like tried to build an EMR. It's actually usage that led us to like build it. So when during the pandemic, it was like a pure disaster response. You needed to be like the government wanted to understand like how many beds are like, currently occupied, how many are available. So because COVID was a capacity management problem. But for that to happen, you need to like now have all the public and private hospitals together in one system. So that's how we started. But then you needed to have like more clinical depth because during the pandemic, you can't transfer this patient data from one place to another because the files are also infected. You can't like send it with the file. So in Kerala, they did a three-tier shifting. So like an upshifting from a primary health to a secondary to a tertiary. So they kept on managing it constantly so that uh, the load was stable. So you were not like put in an ICU for longer than what was required. Like move it out so that another person who was critical was moved in. So to manage this, we wanted to have this data transfer across because in the primary, if you go send back a patient from the tertiary, they need to understand what was the treatment given and what was the medicine assessment and what is the care plan given for that patient. So that it was required. That's how we evolved, and then we looked at like once we were that portion, like Srikanth came in, and then we wanted to like figure out if Bamni was like the choice that we can adopt, and then multi-tenancy was a big problem. This was like 4 years back. And in every other tooling, the problem was like you need to like have your own instance set up. They can run for hospital. We were not into hospital management to start with, so we wanted like a good EMR record that can be transferred for referral, shifting, and like prescriptions and stuff like that. That doesn't require the full weight of an EMR like an HMIS tooling coming with it. For example, like in Bhavani, if you look at it, you need OpenLSS, there is Odoo and like all the other link bang out there. So explored all pathways, then we figured out we need to like build. Even when we were like trying to do a rebuild, we looked into like FHIR servers that was like out there that can be like repurposed and used. We couldn't find something that was open source that fit in our requirements. Starting with multi-tenancy to be like where UX to be another thing. Medplum had like something like really good. We wanted to like use it, but customizing their forms, it felt like we need to like fully rebuild that entire UX to do it. If we are doing it, we want to be in control of the UX and UI. So that's where we went back and then thought about rebuilding it because we also had like a good community. So building it out and engineering it was not very hard for us. That is like the whole story there.
Okay, thanks. So you have FHIR profiles and other things that you have built out because definitely you would need some FHIR profiles and not some, many FHIR profiles that you will be building out, right?
Yeah, we're using like 80 plus FHIR profiles to like
80 plus. And where are they? Like, are they all like published and
we not published it. We're like so we're building it. So we wanted to like make it sure that it's like fully tested in the field and then create a public. We started like ordering this. Then it is super hard to like order the fire profiles. We chose to like push it for like some time because I didn't see that anyone else was going to use it. Like I mean, even Abhi from Swast was telling us like if the community wants that, so we should be able to like push it. Yeah, that's on my roadmap to like get it published.
And what are the FHIR artifacts that you have created? So one is like you have these profiles. You also have built your own FHIR server?
We have a so we build a server that can like emit fire. It's not like a fire server that it doesn't support like all the APIs that is required.
What we need, you have, and what you need, you have built a.
Yeah.
And those APIs are FHIR APIs, or those APIs are like
With both APIs,
proprietary
like
APIs?
Fire APIs and like the normal API. Like the UI required, like doesn't require like a Fire API to like put the data. It's only for interoperability layer most people want it. So we integrated, build both. So resources like profiles are like easily transferable into the, record. So the pain problem we like figured out was like, say if you want to like build a plan definition, you need to like create that apply endpoint that like magically creates the other sources. So stuff like that was really hard to like build on UX, like or an activity definition that has an apply for medication request, a service request, and different kinds of records. So it was not quite easy for us to like model it, but I think so. There's an internal joke between me and Vignesh. So when we started reading Fire, we never didn't understand it really well. So we took a lot of time, and we see that every month that we spend on top of this like documentation, we like there's like an age that we call like so there is like an age with fire that you have like more time we are never able like when we started like activity nation we never figured out what it was, but once we built out the entire thing we now understand like how to do it better. So we are also constantly rewriting bases to like be more compliant. There is no point that we see in diverging from the models, so mostly we are like trying to converge into like what is existing and how to use that for our use case.
Thank you. I think divergence is not good also because then.
Just an interesting question on that.
Go ahead.
Why not? So now that you have all the AI assistants, why not just use OpenEHR, because that's a good data modeler and you get all the CKM stuff from it as your base and build FHIR on top of it.
If you, mostly like this LLMs are like not very powerful with fire data, so it doesn't like always give you like the right output. We played around with it, and then what we figured out was that it's very painful to do it. Like have been also there was, if you look at it, there was also some cost there because we had data in like servers that we had, so like for the 4 years. So we also wanted to have like a pathway to like migrate that into something that's there. So it was easier for us to build it so that we know the one-to-one mapping very easily. So in 5 years, we supported almost everything. So it was not like, you can do an incremental build. When you were doing it, you wanted to like support everything that was existing there so that users were not like in pain.
So, okay, last 5 minutes. So let's just hear from you, like what are your asks from the community, and then we'll take it from there.
Ask us one APDM is not doing justice to like India core extensions. Like, is there like a if you guys have like a path forward for like building like a core that can like support with this definitions? Like my main like fundamental main problem is that we don't have definitions for any of this thing. Like even for observation definition, what is should be the min or max range is not available anywhere in file format. I can put in people to like convert it with AI and all, but then there needs to be like someone to verify it and publish it. So the data out there is limited. So adoption by anyone will be like literally hard because this is not there. So one thing is that. Second is like India specific core. Like I'm not sure like how this works. Like wherever I read like condition is something like you have a problem list and the other thing. But in India, yeah, like doctors are trained to like analyze, write down the symptoms first, then analyze it, and then create diagnosis from it, and you mark it as provisional, and then based on the treatment or like further analytics, you can make one confirmed, and then symptoms move away. But this is not the way it is modeled in FHIR. FHIR, it's like a Dumbo for conditions, and they don't understand that okay, you can like easily switch from one drop down to another to like convert from a symptom to a diagnosis. So the value set is like same for both. So problems like this, and then if you look at Snowstorm's data where like you need to have vitamins also as part of like medicine that is given. So how do you like channel that differences? And how do you build like something that is affordable to like run for Indian context? Like $200-$300 is like not very large for like other places, but in India, if you look at hospitals like beds less than 200, it is not very affordable for them to like run a really expensive system. So how can we like build something that a small community can use for like maybe like say 10,000 rupees a month? Other examples are like palliative care providers, NGOs that are supporting them. They don't have the money to like run a complicated instance. They want something because they cater to like around 500 people remotely, and that is the scale that they're looking into. And Google Sheets is not like doing justice or can't do workflows for them. Like, how do you like have smaller instances help them run the whole ecosystem? So like to cut you short, like US core. Uh, I mean, how to have an India core. How to find data for definitions like activity definition, observation definition, or like a specimen definition. How do we like build a affordable terminology server or like servers that can like support Indian use cases?
Yep. Thanks. Any questions, any comments before we wrap up? I will definitely come back to you, Bodhi, with follow-ups. So any final comments? I see Vignesh is also there, right? Vignesh,
Yeah.
you mentioned his name only, right? Vignesh Hari.
Yeah. Vignesh is the one who figured out FHIR to start with. So he wrote most of the backend model that, so I would say like he's more FHIR guy than me. So
Hi, Vignesh. So yeah, any final comments the community has before we wrap up for today?
Yeah, so I think if you are looking at India core, then you have to be a trailblazer and take it through all the way. You're going to find little help.
yeah, so we were actually pushing with Ajay and I to figure out if that's something that we can do. And also like there are other countries who are looking at adopting AI right now, because like if you look at smaller countries with like 5 lakhs to 6 lakh population, something like CARE is like fully functional for them to like run everything. So we've been having this conversation powered by WHO with different places. So we see that this can also go into like low resource countries for running their and their health suite. So there also we want the community help for understanding and figuring how do we do it right.
Yeah. With that, thank you, Bodhi. Thank you, Vignesh. Thank you, Ajay, for joining in. We'll definitely get back to you and sooner than later. And this is very exciting. I think the community has been waiting for something like this to happen in India. Great that you guys have started. We'll definitely come there, support you, and build something for India. Definitely. Thank you. And thank you, Venu, for taking the session. It was really good session. I think folks understood a little bit on Smart. I think we need to continue that so that they can actually get on and do their own stuff. And the ultimate would be like if they're able to get on to the epics and the cerners of the world and they're able to do the Smart on FHIR there, I think then their purpose is done. The Smart on FHIR session's purpose is done, right? So with that, thank you everyone for joining in today on a Saturday morning. It was an ad hoc meeting, but thanks for joining in and staying till late. See you soon in Pune on 26th. So by the way, Bodhi, we are going to Pune. We are meeting in NRCS office on Pune. So if you or some of your contributors are around Pune, right, let them know that they can joining, right? So that will be a good voice where we can definitely talk to the NRCS folks also to figure out like in person in the closed room, what's happening, what's the plan.
Sure, definitely.
Right.
Try to find.
Sure. All right. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thanks.